Salute.
Peace.
Peace.
What's up, brother?
Chilling, man.
Appreciate you
Glad to have you.
coming on, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive right into it. Real
Okay.
organic shit. Every Wednesday we go live 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We talk elements, DJ, B-boy, graph, MCing, all the good shit. Have guests on here. We appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with us. It's on some organic shit. We're just
Oh,
having
it's all
conversations. We're not weighing
good,
them in.
man.
It's just, you know.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. Thank you
where
for
where
having me.
if you don't mind me asking, where are you at? Are you West Coast, East Coast, right?
I'm in LA.
You're in LA.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Damn, so you're
I moved out here with the family 4 years ago.
oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. I've been acclimating slowly, man. There's a lot of ground to cover out here.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot to like understand but I'm really thankful. The beat junkies have been showing me a lot of love and have been educating me on the lay of the land, and a couple of my homies out here have been helping me get gigs. So everything's been really cool, man. I dig the vibe out here.
You know what's crazy is my man here tomorrow always tell because he's East Coast, right? So you're in PA, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So I'm in Orange County. So if I'm like 30 minutes, 40 minutes south, depending on traffic.
Yes.
So we take. I've understood. I've accepted the fact that LA heads or Southern California heads take this hip hop shit for granted out here because there's events everywhere.
Yes.
There's there's a DJ show here. You got the Beat Junkies Institute. There's just so much stuff that it's like almost by default we're like, yeah, I'll catch it later when it comes back. I'll catch the out the house production shit when it comes back, and we take it for granted. So, yeah, man. But let's get right into it. Q
Okay.
Unique, Arsonists, still you solo joins, hip hop since forever.
Thank
We'll go back. Take us, please, for those that know or those that don't know, take us to early
you.
Q Unique or pre Q Unique.
Yeah, we want to know.
How did you
Like,
come
we
about?
always like to know, like, what's the little guy like
Yeah,
running around? A little
yeah,
Funko
yeah.
so
Pop Q Unique running around.
so if you know my music, my home life was pretty crazy. But what's fascinating about it as well is that both my parents were musicians. So I was surrounded by music as soon as I came out the womb. My mother is a singer-songwriter. My father was a trumpet player. And from the minute I could walk, my father in particular, it's funny that it's him because he was the wild card in our family. He, with no agenda, he just always pushed me to entertain. I can't even explain it because he himself, although he played trumpet, he wasn't a stage guy. He wasn't a guy that liked that kind of attention. So I think he was like being vicarious through me because I was little, so I didn't have any fear. So he would have these weed parties and they would get really high, and he'd be like, because my real name is Anthony. He'd be like, Anthony, go ahead, sing for the crowd. And there'd be a bunch of like all his friends all high and shit. And I'd sing like James Brown songs or
Oh
like
shit.
That's crazy.
Beatles songs or whatever. And then fast forward, he because my parents were young, so he bought like the Sugar Hill records, and he bought them more because everybody else was buying them. But it was something about, and I was still a little kid, so when he would go off to work and I'd come home from school, I'd take the Sugar Hill records out, put the needle on the record, and just sit there, just hypnotized by what I was saying. And then, um, you know, being from a broken home, unfortunately, when the turbulence really hit, me and my brother were like shifted to different houses, and this is where everything just changed for me. I was sent to my grandmother's house, and she lived in the Bronx, and I got to see firsthand hip hop going from crawl to taking its first steps. And I don't even know if we even called it hip hop. It was just like dudes was breaking, dudes was doing graffiti, like my neighbor had turntables, you know, the girl that his cousin used to write raps. So it's like I'm seeing all of this, but not really fully understanding what I'm seeing. I just knew I was attracted to it, but I didn't understand it. I did it. Like I braked. I wasn't good. I couldn't DJ because it was, you know, I didn't have no turntables. So I would write little rhymes. I would do graffiti. I sucked at that. And breaking was like subpar. It was more the lyric thing that really caught on. And then where it really changed was because I was so young, I couldn't go to clubs and events like that, even being in the Bronx. So the radio is where it changed for me, because as soon as I turned that dial to red alert, it just, everything just clicked into place, and I just became a student. So when people ask me who's your first teacher in hip hop, it's Red Alert for me.
Wow.
And it's just hearing his mixes Friday. And of course, there's Chuck Chill Out, there's Mr. Magic, there's Marley Marl. Respect to all of them, but for me, I gravitated to Red for some reason. It just made sense. And then obviously when Criminal Minded dropped, I was a Red Alert DDP soldier. Like, even though they didn't know who the hell I was just, that was my focus, my
Fighting
love
for them.
developed there.
Well,
And
yeah. That's
exactly,
the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
yeah, like this is cool. I mean, like, yo, that's dope, because he's a legend. I mean, people mention, I don't think he's mentioned enough. People mention Marley
Yeah.
and Chuck, but
Yeah,
like
I was
Red
going to say
Alert,
that.
and still doing it too. So you know
He's
what I
still
mean?
doing it. And for me, what's really surreal is, like, you know, when you start out on a journey, you don't even have, I had no intention. I didn't have any intention. I think the only weird thing that popped in my brain when I was probably in middle school, hanging out with a bunch of the kids from the block, just talking shit. I was like, I'm gonna put out a record. And I didn't even know what I was talking. I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know the process. I was a kid just saying it. And they're all looking at me like, yo, you stupid. And I was like, watch. And it was like the universe had put that thought in my head, and I just spat it out. And then years and years later, I'll get to that, but it happened obviously several times over. But it's just so weird how those things happen. For me to be taken from Brooklyn to the Bronx, in the Bronx, I'm watching all this hip hop shit go down. My father's buying Sugar Hill Records. Then he marries into a family where the two older kids that were like maybe 5-10 years older than me, they start educating me on hip hop. One of them is a member of the Zulu Nation. So it was like all of these things are happening, and I'm just like, now when I look at it now, it's like, that's so strange how my life was placed like that. Like, I am in the Bronx, I'm watching graffiti trains go by. All of the shit you seen in Style Wars, I seen physically going to school, walking to school. I seen that UA piece where Cap went over it on Style Wars.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
seen that shit. I used to
Oh,
walk by it to go to school, not
about
knowing.
how old were you?
Man, I had to be,
I guess when you moved from Brooklyn to the
yeah,
BX.
like 12, 11, 12,
Okay.
13, around there. And although I was attracted to it, again, I didn't understand it until fast forward when I met Crazy Legs. Crazy Legs was the one that was like, this is what this is. This is hip hop. These are the elements. This is why. This is how. This is who. This is where. And it, again, weird, because by the time I meet Crazy Legs, I'm doing like little raps. I'm going to little house parties, sweet 16s. I'm grabbing the mic. I'm getting on, you know, just kid shit. You know, I wanted girls to look at me. So I still didn't understand it, you know? And it was Crazy Legs that I used to go to school with his sister, and her and her friend took one of my demo tapes to him. And that's when hip hop and everything just changed. I went from street to career. Like, it was like that. It was like that kind of a shift. And it's surreal. It's almost like what Rakim says, God consciousness. Obviously, I put that more towards rhyming or writing rock lyrics or whatever. I believe what Rakim says about God consciousness and how things just happen, and you can't grab these things. They just come from wherever your faith is. And so even from my destiny to be laid out that way, that's also a God consciousness thing. Because I couldn't, from the type of family I had, the type of crazy I came from, the math doesn't equate for me to do that. You know, there's a rhyme that I say when my mother said, I was destined for self-destruction, which that's the type of family I grew up in.
Mm.
But for the universe to say, nah, you're going to tour the world, you're going to write rhymes, and then you're in the middle of your journey, you're going to start touring with Korn and writing rock songs. And it's like, what? You know, so it's like, I wasn't prepared for any of this. And it's like something that I, I I'm thankful every day for. I'm thankful for talking to homies like y'all that are interested in even hearing a fraction of what I have to say, because I guess I've journeyed long enough where I appreciate it. I've got to that point where I'm like, man, I really appreciate the journey that I've had and I'm having. And every other moment with like someone like you or I get on stage, I don't take none of that shit for granted, man. All of that shit to me means a grip. It's, you know, so sorry for the tangent.
Nah, nah. That's why we're here. That's why we
Yeah,
that's why I asked the
we just here to
question.
listen. I mean, you can rock all night. I mean, so um, let's let's get into a little bit as far as the formation of the Arsonists. As far as
Okay.
like and just early beginnings there, because I actually I had Jice on my show one time and he was talking about like the Danger Room or something or yeah. So just talk. Yeah. All right, word. So
So
yeah. So go a little
I'm gonna
early
go quick
artists. Let's
through the
talk about them.
timeline that led me to the Arsonist. So
All right.
I started out solo. Crazy Legs gets me my first two record deals. One of them was signed to Celluloid Records. So if you know your vinyl history, Celluloid Records put out Grandmaster DST, Africa Bambaataa. So I was excited for that deal in particular. And what ended up happening with that deal, the label went bankrupt. So they ended up holding the first Q Unique single that should have came out in like the early 90s, but it never
Oh,
happened.
oh,
And then from there, Crazy Legs gets me a deal with writing for CNC Music Factory. That, you know, wasn't my idea. It was more like, I know that Legs felt bad for the celluloid situation, so he was kind of like scrambling to figure out how he could fix it.
Get you with yeah.
Right. And so he got me that deal. I did that really quick, in and out. And then I did this group called the Nomads. Now, this is what led me to the Arsonist. So I'm in this group called the Nomads. Um, and it's like the grayest chapter of my music career, because it was like I went from writing for CNC Music Factory, and when you're part of a machine like that, they treat you in a certain way. You're handled a certain way financially and all of that stuff. You know, that part of it is a crazy experience. Although I didn't like the music, it was just an ill experience. But then I went from this to drop back to indie hip hop in the Nomads, in a group that nobody ever heard of. And the only, I think, shine for that was I got to work and became, to this day, friends with Skef Enselm, who was down with A Tribe Called Quest, Brand Nubians. And so a lot of the experiences that I had with the Nomads is more based on Skef Enselm's wisdom and him like sending us to the studio to hang out with A Tribe Called Quest while they were working out with Midnight Marauders and all of that. It's a crazy story. And then one day, we're in a cipher, me and the other member of the Nomads, and Destroy and Tony Touch show up. I didn't know who they were. And we're rhyming, and all of a sudden it hits Destroy. And he says, you know, if y'all know Destroy, he just said some wild shit.
Yeah.
And we're just looking at him like, what did he just say? Something like he slapped his mother with government cheese. Like, it was like crazy. Like I remember just being like, yo, this dude is nuts. And from there, he and I ended up going to this death row party, Death Row East Coast. And he was like, yo, you should roll, come to Bushwick and meet the rest of the clique. And at that time, they had just transitioned from Bushwick Bomb Squad to the Arsonists.
okay.
So as soon as, when I rolled up and I met, at that time, there was like a million members of the
Yeah, all
Arsonists.
everybody.
It was nuts. And you ever have a moment where you walk into something and you instantly say, this is my tribe. I belong here. This is where I belong. And it was that instant. Soon as we were like meeting and then the rhyme cipher broke out and then we had like deep discussions about hip hop at that time, it was like instant for me. I was like, I need to stay here. And you know, from that meeting, from me being in Bushwick, we started working on demos and we ended up recording the first two songs, Halloween and The Session. And because of because of the Nomads, I knew Bobito before I was in the Arsonists because of the Nomads. He had brought us up a few times. They would snap. We would snap on the radio. If you knew Stretch and Bob, that's how they played. And so when the demo was done and they played it on the Stretch and Bob show, it became the most requested song of the year. It was nuts for us. We were like, what? And so when the year ended, he had called me. He was like, what are y'all going to do with this song? I was like, probably going to try to save up some money, put it out. He's like, save y'all money. I want to put it on Fondle. And that just, from that point, Arsonists just excelled. It was nuts, man. What a beautiful ride.
Wow, that's dope. Yo, before I gotta go back to the CNC Music Factory shit.
Yes, sir.
Bro,
Yes,
you
sir.
read my mind. I'm like, yo, I gotta ask you. Go.
Yeah, we put in reverse for a minute, like so, because I was researching for this build, and I'm like, wait, hold up, did I read that right? Am I like high or something? And so, but like, was that just a couple joints, one joint? Like, I mean, I didn't go into it too.
Initially they brought me in, so it was a deal that went sour because I walked in as Q Unique and I walked in with the idea that there was going to be a trade-off. I was going to help them with a situation that they had because they had to fulfill a contract where that dude Freedom, the buff dude with shirtless dude, he walked out on them and they were signed to do Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack. So when I walked in, they were like, could you do this song for us and we'll put out a Q Unique single? And I was like, word. So I did. And it's funny because this is the comedy of it. This is how you knew I was like young in the head and I didn't understand yet the workings of industry. So when they met me, I'm asking the dude, why would you want to work with a guy like me? I'm a street rapper. I know what y'all work with.
Right.
He was like, well, CNC, we're trying to get more street now. We're trying to relate to the streets. We see where hip hop is going. So when he said that,
this was the label. This was the label.
No, this is Robert Clavilla is saying this. This is one of the C's.
Okay, shit. All right.
So when he says that, he gives me the beat for the movie soundtrack. I go home and I write the most street, grimy shit for this song. And I remember I came to the studio the next day. I go into the mic booth. This is an expensive studio. These dudes had Grammys and Moon Man and all of that shit. They were paid. So we're in this dope studio and I'm getting ready. I got my, that was when I used to write rhymes on paper. So I put it on the thing. All right. You ready, Q? Ready. Hit record. And I'm like, motherfucking, I'll shoot you in the fucking motherfucker. And they're in the booth like traumatized, just staring at me. And they finished the take and they think, Q, can you come into the boardroom real quick? So I come in and he's sitting there like this and he goes, I think you misunderstood. Yes, we want to do a street thing, but it wasn't like that.
Well, you said.
Right. So I'm like a kid. I'm like, I'm not even 21 yet. So I'm like looking at him like now I'm confused. And so now he's pulling out all these hits that like from Das Effects, Black Sheep, like hits. And he's like trying to make me copy that, but I'm an MC, so I'm looking at him like, but that's biting. So he doesn't understand my language. As soon as I say biting, he's looking at me like, yeah, so so the tension already started because I'm coming in like Rocksteady, member of Zulu Nation. I've been taught every rule of hip hop, from Crazy Legs, Bambaataa, Fable, Mr. Wiggles, the list goes on. So I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, this guy wants me to bite, DOS Effects, Black Sheep. So I'm confused. So now they sent me with one of their writers to construct a rhyme. So we would go line for line, and then I got the gist of what it was that they were looking for, which it hurt my stomach to do it, but I was already locked in, signed the paperwork. I had to move forward. Plus, I believed they were going to put out my singles. So I was like, fuck it, let me do this. So I do it, song comes out, it's on the soundtrack. When you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, I'm the first voice you hear. As soon as the movie starts, that's me rapping, which is hilarious. And it's a nightmare as well, and I'll tell you why. So I do that, and crickets. They don't pull the trigger on put out my singles. And I'm sitting there. And all of a sudden I write something else for them. And then I help them with a James Brown track with some drums. And I'm still sitting there. And then I turn to Legs and I'm like, yo, I don't think these motherfuckers is gonna put my shit out. And Legs gets furious. And so there was a night we're at this club and it was packed with like Too Short was there, House of Pain was there. It was like celebrities like all over the place. And so for some reason, homie from CNC is there. And Leg sees him and he confronts him like, yo, what the fuck y'all doing, man? Y'all gonna put out my brother's single? Like, y'all playing games? Like, and so they start arguing. It looks like it's gonna become a fight. And then one thing led to another, and I got off the contract. So now from that, because it was such a rough experience towards the end, I go from that to the Nomad. So to go from rough into like this deep underground crew, it was like a really weird transition for me. And thank God that the Arsonists happened at the tail end of that, because then the Arsonists just turned everything back around for me, where I was in a better place spiritually, mentally, and just we had something dope. So that's the whole CNC thing.
So you got paid for the joints, but you didn't. But they didn't put out. But they didn't put out your single.
Yes.
What about? I mean, what about the? Was that under contract though? I mean,
yes,
for them to do that.
yes,
But they breached. I
yes.
guess,
So they breach contract, drop.
Yes, the whole thing was just, and it's unfortunate because now when I look at it as somebody with experience, when I was, I was, like I said, I wasn't even 21 yet, so I didn't understand. If you had put me in a position like that now, I would have taken the money that they gave me and just put out my own fucking singles. I would have been like, whatever, I'll do it, But back then, I still didn't understand the workings. I didn't understand that you could go and press your own record. Or imagine if I would have had, at a young age, I would have had to figure out distribution, all of these things by myself. I didn't have a team. I was by myself. So, it is what it is. There's some cool experiences with that story, and there's like some darkness with that story. The other funny thing is, because it was such a bad, like sour ending, I remember thinking, this Buffy the Vampire Slayer shit, everybody will forget about it in years. And the shit becomes a TV show, and I'm like, fuck! Now they'll never forget.
So question though, I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Yep.
So you said, this was, the joint was that 93, 92?
92.
I think 91, 92.
Somewhere around, right? Okay. And you said earlier, and maybe I took it the wrong way, but you were already rock steady at that point?
Yes, I was rock steady and Zulu. I was rock steady.
When did that happen?
Because Crazy Legs. He put me down, I think, 89. I think.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm Legs had told me recently that I have the longest or the oldest membership of Rocksteady currently, because everything has shifted with members and stuff like that. I never really geek on that, because even for me, like, being a member of Rocksteady is cool, but even for me, out of respect, the way I view Rocksteady is Legs, Kenny, Kuriaki, Buck 4, Frosty Freeze, Mr. Freeze, Take One. Like, that's Rocksteady to me.
Right.
That's what I grew up. So being a member is cool, but my respect is more based on I'm humbled, but I can never 100% accept anything like that because it's like those guys is what we all know Rocksteady to be.
Right, right.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a weird thing. You know, he gets annoyed when I say shit like that, but it's like I'm just trying to be real about it. It's like imagine if the Beatles just kept on rotating members, but you know, for me, I'd still look at the four of them. You know, be like that guy and that guy. You know, it's
Right.
like
Right.
Well, it
Yeah.
got big enough, and this so I'm kind of thrown back here because I didn't know it was that early, but
yeah,
I remember, and then this is a question. So obviously, us hip hop heads, b boys, whatever it is, we know. All right, you got your crews. Rocksteady is probably the biggest name out of all
yeah,
the crews if you're a surface head. But yeah, it's all b boys. So when I started hearing like, yo, it's not just b boys in
yes,
Rocksteady anymore, right? I'm like, to me that was pretty dope, and especially I believe it's on the As the World Burns.
yes,
Crazy Legs says, it's not just b boys. It's he acknowledges it. So for some reason, by default, I thought that happened like maybe mid '90s, but you're saying it's '89, so
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going back.
89, 90, because he got my demo tape when I was going to school with his sister, and when he took me under his wing, he made me a member, and then shortly after that, he made me a member of Zulu as well.
Okay.
So that whole talk about a crazy. That's why my latest release was called Royal Blood, because for me, like having an outer body experience, it's like how many MCs could have that kind of lineage where it's like you're a member of Rocksteady, you're a member of Zulu, you're a member of the Arsonists, you've had your records put out by Bobito Garcia,
Yeah.
you've done things for Red Alert, it's like the whole you've worked for Fat Beats. It's like my timeline and my lineage is even for me it's trippy, like that's why I say I appreciate it, because I know it's like getting a golden ticket to fucking Willy Wonka's fucking chocolate factory. It doesn't make sense to me. It's
Yeah.
like I wasn't a b-boy like that. Like I break like every other kid in the neighborhood, but I wasn't. And like you said, when he put me down, he was like, Rocksteady was always supposed to represent the four elements, because he had broke it down that Buck Four was also a DJ. I forgot who he said used to MC. Mr. Wiggles was a dope MC.
Yep. Yep.
He was a producer. So it's like, you know, it was the four element thing, but he kind of like pushed it a little more in the 90s, where he was trying to educate everybody like Rocksteady's a four element thing, and it's like you had said. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's dope, yo. Like, cause like the lineage. Your lineage is important because there's a lot of dope MCs out there that
no,
don't have the foundational knowledge of hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? So like, like when you're learning from Bambaataa and Legs and like these various pioneers who took it to another level. I mean, like that's dope.
yes,
I mean, that's like directly from them. It's like, yo, like, you're hearing like what it is and what it is not. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a pretty dope foundation to have.
yeah, it is. It's a gift and a curse, because now, and for quite some time, whenever somebody gets at me in the DMs or even prior to that, and they always throw it's for the culture, and you're looking at them like you're talking to the wrong dude, homie. You can't sell it to me like that, because what I know and what you know to be culture could be vastly different. It's like
Yeah,
there's a
Right,
lot, and I'm sure you guys know there's a lot that we could look at and be like, that's wrong. It doesn't even matter if it's an underground MC, a commercial rapper. Everybody's doing something a little off where you could look at it and be like, that's not quite right,
right,
And so, you know,
right.
you just take, you know.
Yeah, you'll talk a little bit about or a lot of bit about the rock band and everything. How'd that come about?
Crazy Legs again. So
dang, all right.
it's crazy, man. So as I had said, my mother was a singer-songwriter. So her and my uncle were the first musicians that I actually seen as a baby. Watched them rehearse, record things, go, obviously I didn't go to their shows, but I would watch them hop in a station wagon, whatever the fuck they had, and gig all over New York City. And they'd play more folky rock and sometimes Christian rock stuff. But what I was learning watching them was songs being made, structure, verse, chorus, chords, and all of these things. And it was me and my brother. My brother didn't really care. I just, for some reason, I just was focused on it, absorbing it. I couldn't even explain. Now I get it, but back then I don't even know what made me just stop to watch and be inquisitive and ask questions. So I've always had a love for rock. I just didn't know, just like I said with hip hop, I just didn't know how to approach it, what I was supposed to do. You know, I admired my mother and my uncle for what they did, but it wasn't my vibe. It wasn't something that I would write. That could never come out of me what they wrote. You know, they're children from the 60s, this hippie shit. Like that's not us. I don't think that way.
Right.
So fast forward when MySpace was hot, Legs Legs calls me one day and he's like, "Yo, man, why don't you do some rock shit? Like I know you love that shit. You always playing that shit and whatever." And I was like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to put together a band. I don't know. None of y'all motherfuckers play instruments. Like I'm
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
Rocksteady and Zulus and Arsonists. I'm like, none of y'all play instruments. None of y'all are educated in rock. None of y'all even know any of this stuff. And he's like, right, we don't. But you could go on MySpace and throw up a classified and see what happens. So reluctantly and nervously, I do it because I'm like, I think he's tripping. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, he's bugging. This ain't gonna work. And he was right. Like I got hit with mad messages. Yo, down for this, down for this. And I weed through it and I found this band from Long Island. They were called Unsound. And what was weird is they already had a dope MC in the band. So I didn't get it. I was like, why would this MC give up his band? He's dope. Like the sound that they had was dope. But he actually met up with me with the band. And he was like, yo, man, use the band, man. I think it'll be dope. And I had just gotten booked for the Vans Warped Tour. So if you know what that is, that's like one of the biggest punk rock tours on
Yeah.
the planet, if not the biggest.
Yeah.
So before the one that I got booked for, I did it with Nonfiction the year before. And that was my summer school, so to speak. So I went from not understanding to watching, still not understanding, like I said, putting together a band, but watching bands get on stage, plug shit in, how they engage the audience. It's a little different for what hip hop
Oh
does.
yeah.
So it's a little different. So I got to hang out with some of New York hardcore bands like Madball, H2O. They had a thing called Hazen Street. I got to hang out with the Lords of Brooklyn. And towards the end of that tour, the Lords of Brooklyn brought me on stage and I rocked out with their band and I instantly fell in love. So when Legs said it, even though I was nervous and I didn't fully know what I was going to do, I still did it because there was a love there. So I do it. I do the Vans Warped Tour with this band. And then you won't even believe this shit. After the tour finishes, I get a call from Bobby from Tribal Gear, the owner of Tribal Gear in San Diego. And he's like, "What's up, Q? How you doing?" I'm like, "Chilling." Goes, "Yo, would you be interested in doing a song with Fieldy from the band Korn?" I'm not even thinking anything. I have no intention. And my response was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, not understanding what he's asking me.
Right.
I
Right.
had no idea how big they were. Believe
Right.
that. I didn't, because when I say I listened to rock, I was a grunge head. So I was like super educated on Alice in Chains and Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Screaming Trees. The list goes on, Caius. The list goes on and on and on. That was my
Okay.
playlist. So
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention to nu metal like that. I knew what they were doing, but I wasn't really hyper focused on what it was that they were doing. And a little side note, I have a New York skater friend. His name is Vinny Ponte, And at that time, he was bringing me up to the Wu-Tang penthouse to hang out. So I was so focused on that shit because here I am in the room with Wu-Tang, and in my little fucking crazy brain, I'm like, give me a year and I'm gonna be a member of Wu-Tang. Stupid shit, like really stupid, ignorant shit. Really ignorant. So I'm hanging out with Wu-Tang. I get that call, and I'm like, yeah, sure. So I book my own flight. I go out there. Bobby picks me up. He drives me. I never seen the MTV cribs for this dude, nothing. We drive to the front of his house. I get out and I'm looking at this guy's castle and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at Bobby like, yo, how many records these motherfuckers sold, man? Like I'm tripping. Like, what is this? And he comes out, Fieldy, and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, what's up, man? Good to meet you. And he goes, you want to go to Del Taco? And I'm like, what's Del Taco? Because we didn't have that in New York. I don't know what that is. And that's the first place we went to go and chill. And then that same day, the chemistry was instant. We wrote our first song, Killing Myself to Live, that same day. And it
Wow.
that song is more like I tend to look at it. It sounds more like a Q Unique song than it does what Stilwell became. But that was the fuse that just started everything, because when I finished it, maybe a year later, Fieldy came to New York. We played the song. He's geeking and all of that. And he was like, yo, what's your schedule like? And I'm like, well, I just finished my touring cycle for Vengeance Is Mine. So right now I'm clear. I'm just working on another album. And he's like, you want to go on the road with Korn? And that turned into an 18-year run. It just popped like that. Just from doing one song, it just became a brotherhood. And the whole like Korn circle just welcomed me and educated me on this other thing that Crazy Legs suggested that I get involved with. Can't explain it.
18-year run, you said.
18-year run. To this, like we both watched our kids grow up, we're best friends, and so the whole thing, I couldn't have wrote that because that was never my intention. That was never, even when I did the rock thing in the Vans Warped Tour, I didn't know what that was going to be. I gave it a shot, but to go from that to running with Korn, it kind of like it changed my perspective instantly, because now I'm behind the scenes and I'm seeing shit that nobody can see. I'm there when they're having meetings. I'm there when they're putting shows together. I'm there when they're recording albums. I'm there when they're looking for producers. I'm there when they're choosing road managers. I'm on the tour bus. It was bizarre. I was a fly on the wall. And there were times where the opener couldn't make it to the show. Hey, Q, you want to open up for Korn? Sure. And I'm opening up for them in some weird place in Europe, like some crazy place, or Stilwell is opening up. Like it just snowballed into something that it wasn't even in my plan. Like it wasn't my plan at all.
Damn.
So it's
That's a beautiful story. That's a
yeah.
beautiful story, because you think cats these days, even myself, where it's like we find ourselves like, do you take a chance on this? And
Yes.
these days it's more like, no, you know that fear of failure or the feel of the unknown. You're just like, nah, and you just never know. You just put, I mean, if you put this in a book, or even in this when we publish it, or put it on YouTube,
Yes.
that's an amazing story by you. Just sure, okay.
It's bizarre to me, and that's why I've learned to appreciate it all, because I know it doesn't make sense. I know mathematically it doesn't add up.
That's
I know
insane.
But that's
none of it.
but that's the coolest part about it, is that that's how you know it's supposed to happen. Like everything, like because you weren't looking for it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like a relationship. Like I mean, like I wasn't looking. My wife was awesome. I wasn't looking to meet anybody. I meet my
Right.
wife. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same shit. Like
Exactly the
that's
same.
no, I like we often say give us a sign or something, but like then we reject the sign when it comes. But like sometimes shit just smacks you across the fucking head. It's like,
Yes.
yo, I need to be doing this, and I'm gonna do it until the wheels fall off, and then just see where it
It's
goes. So
wild. And it keeps me, because of these experiences where I'm at today, is I'm still in that childlike mind. And I'll explain. It almost, I almost ruined it. And luckily Fieldy had a talk with me. So I was at a crossroad before I came to LA. And I actually went to Laguna Hills first during COVID, because he has a big house, brought my family there and all that. And as we were doing Stilwell, I was lost in hip hop for some reason. I like, my map wasn't working. My soulful map wasn't working. Something wasn't connecting. Something was wrong. And it wasn't hip hop. It was me towards hip hop. Something wasn't right. And so I had a talk with Fieldy, and I was like, yo, man, I think I'm going to close the door on Q Unique. I think that I can't quite figure out what I did, but I'm not there. And he goes, listen, what you do with Stilwell and all the rock stuff you do is great, but Q Unique is way too important for you to just close. You have to just figure out what's bothering you, fix it, and move forward, because that is your legacy. That is what people know you to be. You can't just close that. You cannot do that. And he understands, because Korn is a band that's been around for, long time. So he understood legacy way before I did. And so when he said that, he shifted my perspective. And I ended up calling Eclipse and Ill Bill, and I told them that I needed help figuring out what's bothering me. And so I instantly, the conclusion that I drew was, it was my catalog. It starts with the mixtape era. When I look at it now, I shouldn't have been a part of that. And I'll tell you why. When I did it, my intention was, well, if he's successful, then if I do it, I could be successful. That's a stupid reason to do something. That's a dumb reason to do something, because what you learn about the music business, what works for one person is never going to work for the other. I'm not going to take Eminem steps and all of a sudden I'm in front of Dr. Dre. It doesn't work that way. So at that time, 50 Cent was so hot with the mixtape. He did the mixtape. He blew up. So all of us were thinking, if I do it, maybe somebody will discover me. And it's like, that's a dumb way to think. And because of that, I ended up putting out a few mixtapes. And when I got back to looking at it and listening to it, I was disappointed in myself, because I didn't put the effort that I would put into an Arsonist album or to a Q Unique album. I was just dialing it in. Oh, here's a verse. Here's a 16. And that's for me, for my integrity. That's bad behavior. It's either do it right or shut up. And so they introduced me to Soul Spasm Records, and I worked meticulously with them to clean up my catalog. So we pulled down all the mixtapes. I went through the mixtapes. I picked certain songs that I thought could be remixed, reproduced, fixed it, turned it into 2 collections called the Legacy Series. And then I put out 2 new releases, one called Pound for Pound, one called Royal Blood. And now I was back on track. And now I was in love again. And I figured out that because of my own mess, because of bad, stupid intentions of wanting to blow up, that should never be the aim. When I look at the dudes that really inspired me, KRS, Rakim, Kane, Nas, Wu-Tang, specifically KRS and Rakim, I use them the most because I went to see KRS recently at the Venice West. And you got to understand, I tell a story about sneaking into a club to go see him because I was too young. So I've been watching KRS for decades. And so to see recently and watch him and see that he's still staying the course, I needed to see that because it shows you that his intentions are pure, regardless of what people might come up with. He's crazy, he's this, he's that. To me, he stayed the course though. He's still fighting for hip hop. He's not trying to be on the radio. He's not trying to rap on a trap beat. He's just KRS moving forward as KRS. He's in Europe right now doing a Temple of Hip Hop tour. So it's like he stayed his course. And so that kind of mentality put me in check. I was like, wait a minute. What the foundation that meant the most to me was the Arsonists. Because when you listen to the Arsonists and when you watch the Arsonists, we came with hip hop. So I had to rewind back to that, pull from that, and then move forward and restructure my catalog and my path because I messed it up a little bit. Even with Vengeance Is Mine, I split the room with that one. There was a 20th year anniversary, and because I knew that was coming, I went back to that album, and there's about 4 songs that I rewrote because when I wrote Vengeance Is Mine, A, I was in an super angry place, and B, I was trying again to be like the dudes that I got into I was trying to be like Necro and Ill Bill. That's their thing. I was trying to replicate their thing. They were already nice with it, and they were already truthful to that. That's how they started. I was an arsonist trying to be them, which again, and I had this talk with Bill, and he kind of didn't see it that way, but he understood.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they were already doing their thing. I was just trying to fit in because I lost my crew. I lost the Arsonists. That shit was heartbreaking. So I was trying to figure out what am I supposed to do here? And so when I got down with Uncle Howie and all the whole crew, it's just trying to fit in. And in that moment, some of those rhymes that I wrote on Vengeance Is Mine, I can't co-sign, man. I can't
Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
like, it's disappointing to myself. It's like, yo, sure, the real shit, like the setup and One Shot and Father's Day, I co-sign that. But when you're doing a 16-bar verse of just random thoughts and you writing wild shit just so you fit in with this crew, or you're trying to get the oohs and ahs, it's like, nah, it's not worth it. Not for me. That's not my intention. So those little 16 hot verses, whatever people call them, those are the ones that I rewrote. And I just came better with it, in my opinion, than just trying to say some misogynistic thing that I don't agree with.
right.
I had to get clear-headed for that. I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
man, that's not cool. That wasn't the Arsonist way. That wasn't even my way when I started.
right,
Prior
None
to
of
that.
that. You know.
right.
So that's what happened.
Right. Yo, so we got 11 minutes left, and
Oh,
before we,
sorry about that, man.
no,
Oh,
no,
we, bro,
it's
I'm
been,
taking it all in.
yeah, no, it's been dope. But when we want to cover, if we get out of here, we want to talk about your new stuff going on. But
Yes.
you being a student of the elements and having the lineage you have, we did want to get your candid take on like just the elements now. We always talk a lot how like, and you brought it up how like cats was just writing, DJ and B-boy and brothers just doing everything. You didn't call it hip hop. You just rocked out,
You
right?
just
Yep.
did it. Yeah.
And so, but now we kind of look at the elements as being in really 4 individual silos
Mm-hmm.
operating independently. So we're just curious, how do you look at things from your vantage point on the whole just hip hop culture, not just rap music, but in general?
I think, and this might, I'm gonna take a risk on this one.
Oh shit.
I think the loss of Bambaataa made everything a little loose. I don't condone anything that he's been accused of. I don't co-sign that shit. But those that know. The importance of what he did for hip hop, uh, that's a tough one. You kind of like cutting off the head of something, and you try to reason behind the scenes. You have talks. I have talks with, random, older heads in hip hop, and it's like it's one of those situations where you don't know what to make of it, because, for instance, this is going to be a controversial statement. When the 50th anniversary of hip hop happened, Bambaataa was on Instagram saying, "Y'all got the date wrong," and I was like, "That's what I mean. When you take that man out of the equation, whether it's by his own hand or by somebody else's hand, shit starts to get a little sloppy. Shit doesn't make as much sense as it should." Hip hop to me is still a beautiful thing, but I have to see it in certain areas. Like when I go to the Beat Junkies Academy, I'm blown away.
Right. Yeah.
Blown away.
Of course.
Amazing. When I go to Boombox LA, I'm blown away. Beautiful. I went to a shop called GCS or GSC in Santa Ana.
Yes, Santa Ana.
Blown away. So when I see those things, there's hope. But when I get kind of like a mixed emotion is when you start to talk the history, the who, what, when, where, why, that's when it gets fuzzy, because not everything people are seeing is truth or honest. And some, a lot of the OGs or the icons that we know, they're not willing to take that risk to fix it. And I understand that. That's why I even say it carefully. It's like, hey, I don't condone what homie is accused of, but I used to get my Zulu lessons from him. I know how important he was to the culture. It's like that's a tough one. And no one, I don't, unless you guys know, I haven't seen anyone be able to replace that. There hasn't been somebody to come in and correct, kind of like take from his book and be like, this is what's written. The only guy that I see that we mentioned, KRS, I'm not a member of Temple of Hip Hop. I don't know how he's broadcasting, but when I went to see him at the Venice West, it was the closest I felt to being educated again in a Zulu cipher, because KRS is that dude. He'll rhyme, and then in the middle, he'll talk to the crowd for 20 minutes and educate people. Not a lot of MCs in his graduating class are doing that. He feels compelled. So, and I hope I'm not confusing the people watching. It's just, hip hop is in a strange place, man. I saw the Billboard list for female MCs and I was confused.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to make of it. It's like, and then there's a part of me that's like, is this really important? Like, should we even be discussing? Should we even give this magazine the authority?
What I say, yeah.
Who said that they can do that?
Right. And why are they even invited to the table?
Who gave them the permission?
Right.
Who co-signed that? Because some of the names on there have been in the room for 10 minutes.
Right.
Know what I mean? Like,
it's almost a list of people that have come out in the last 5 years, if that 5 years.
Yeah, it's like, what? Like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, they're already like, what is this? What is this? The UFC? You could just jump slots? So it's like, you can't do that, man. So it's like, there's beauty. Like, for instance, what you guys do is important. It's extremely important. And I know that there are days where you might look at it and be like, man, I don't know, this shit ain't moving, or it's not moving the needle. But to me, because I've been paying attention to y'all and other individuals that do things like this, and I'm like, that's where the importance is. It's not the Billboard shit. It's not some blog trying to get clicks. It's the people that are doing it because they feel compelled to make sure that the education isn't dirty. And that what you guys do is vastly important over a Billboard list of random names of people that have just been in the room. And probably, I'm sure you guys agree, 70% of that list probably couldn't even tell you the history of hip hop.
Not. Don't get me
easy.
No, don't get me
MC.
started on that shit. Don't even get me started.
Right.
I'm bubbling just because I
Yeah.
saw the list and usually but it's like, but my whole thing lately has just been like, they're not a part of this. So why are we giving it like this is why, we gotta have our own shit and all that stuff. But like fuck Billboard, fuck Rolling Stone, man.
Yeah.
Like fuck the
They
Grammys.
confuse
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And the thing is, I in earlier in social media I used to get on. I mean, now I don't even bother. I don't even bother because I look at it like that's useless to me because they do this shit every year. They don't care.
Nope.
They just throw names on a piece of paper, and every year it's the same fucking thing. Top 100 this, top 10 that, and it's like, fuck your list, dude. Fuck your list. What are you really doing to help?
Yeah.
Fuck your list, man. I don't care about your list. What are you doing to help this shit that we got? Are you guys helping us to figure out the real history of this hip hop shit? Nah. Or to maintain it and keep it clean, keep it fair, keep it balanced. Because it's like the other thing is, and I'm just talking about rap music. I know we could all agree that what's popular, it kind of like tilted the scale so heavily that consciousness doesn't even have a space. There's no space for it. It's like,
Yep.
balance it, man.
Totally
Balance.
imbalanced.
It's so imbalanced that like that's probably one of the things that was subliminal in my brain that when I was having a problem with hip hop that was probably one of the elements that I was looking at like, man, this shit looks crazy to me and something is missing. It's consciousness.
Of course.
It needs to be there.
Yep.
It needs. I was telling somebody the other day, it's like the 5%. I'm not a 5%er. I'm not a Muslim, but it's necessary in hip hop because it balanced it. Once you took that element out, once you try to make it look ugly or try to make it like it was a fad, then all of a sudden the scale went like this, and everything became money and alcohol and women showing their ass instead of skill or whatever have you, dudes acting like morons, and so it's like you can't. You need the 5% Nation of Islam. You need the FOI. You need all of that. You need it because it balanced it.
Good
It
point.
brought balance. I know it sounds crazy, or it might even sound like an older argument, but it's like, think about it. The eras that we love had balance.
That's
They just
that
did.
100%
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah. We talked about that, of course. Damn.
Yo, it's 7:59,
Ah,
obviously. Before we go, and there's so much we probably didn't get
We
into,
got
right?
to do
There's
a
so much
part two.
that you know
We
me, man.
we got to do a part
yeah,
two.
I'm
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so
Because
down.
I'm you know me, dude. I'm a big Arsonist fan. I have
We got to
so
do.
Thank
many
you.
questions, but before we go, tap in. And I know you said you were releasing something
Yep.
new. Tap that in. Where can people find you? All that good stuff.
Yes, sir. So just the easiest thing for everybody to do is just go to the website. It has everything, all the social tabs, all the updated news. I keep all of that. So it's qunique.com, q-unique.com. From there, you'll find me on all the social apps. Like I said, the YouTubes, everything is on there. And, and I have a new single dropping actually this Friday. So you guys caught me right before, so I'll segue into. So I have a song coming out this Friday. It's called "Let's Go, Vámonos, Andiamo" because I'm Puerto Rican and Italian. So what I did was on this song, I'm doing a trilingual song.
Ooh,
I don't even know if it's been done. I'm rapping in English, Spanish, and Italian
Oh
on this song
all
shit.
by
right,
myself.
Dope.
I'm with it.
So that's what we're doing, and just now I'm staying the course with Q Unique and just doing a whole lot of stuff. And I'm also working on a collaboration album with me, and DJ Rhetmatic is producing all the beats. So that's
Woo.
also exciting as well.
Yeah.
So, stay tuned for all of that good stuff.
Junkies.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Word. Yeah, that's super dope. We're gonna
Yeah,
definitely
we're looking forward
get
to that,
Thank
brother.
you.
We appreciate you rocking out with us. We'll
Thank you
reach
for
out
having me.
again. Got to
Thank
do
you.
a part two.
Yes,
Keep
sir.
rocking. Tag us on anything. Appreciate everybody that stepped in, came in,
There
had
we go.
questions. We didn't get to your question, but again, we'll probably do a part two. Hopefully, you're down with it.
Get at me. I'm
yeah.
definitely down, man. I'm down for sure. I
We're
love
gonna do
doing
that.
stuff like
We setting that shit up. So we appreciate you, man.
that.
Like
Thank you.
we really do. You know what I'm saying? And appreciate everybody rocking with us. And we'll get this up on the YouTube channel. But now this was fun. The hours always
Super
goes by too quick.
quick.
So
Super
So,
quick.
and
I get it.
unfortunately, I just had a hard stop tonight. So, but we'll definitely got more to cover. I know we got more to cover. So,
Tons.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all, man.
yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate
Appreciate
Have a
you.
good night, y'all.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.
Everybody be
All
good.
right.